So I hear you moved up here from South Carolina.
Yes, I did.
What was that transition like?
Well, I think when I moved up here to go to law school and it snowed that December, I thought I was getting out of finals because in South Carolina when it snows, everything shuts down, but I had to trudge through the, so I had to wear by like long johns is what we call them in the South. It was so cold up here that first year. But I've been here 16, 17 years now, so it's no big deal anymore. So I got a snowblower and everything. So
that's a good deal because you don't know how much snow you're going to get overnight. So you said you came up here to go to law school. I mean, what was the draw to the law school in Lansing, Michigan?
Well, when I decided to quit my job and go back to school, I was looking for a place that I could work that had a law program in the evenings and weekends. And there were at the time only two in the country that did that. And one was Cooley and one was American University. And so Cooley offered a scholarship, so that made it a lot more attractive.
So becoming a lawyer is a second career?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What was your first career?
I was a marketing analyst for a retail company. I did product mix and placement and pricing types for a grocery store for about 11 years.
Wow. That's interesting. What was the draw to maybe go to law school? What was the law? It
was either to be a lawyer or a doctor, and I don't do blood very well, so I figured I would go to law school, and something challenging. So,
what was because like being a doctor, there's specialties. Where did you find yourself fitting?
I originally, when I started, I was going to be a business transactions attorney because that's what I had the background in. Started doing some volunteer work at Elder Law and just fell in love with working with the clients, and so decided to really focus on general practice and working with senior citizens and the legal issues they have.
And talk to me a little bit about that area of elder law. What were the issues you were seeing? What really caught your attention for your passion in that area?
For me, it was, when I was talking to the clients by phone and hearing, the problems that they had. I mean, I grew up in a very low-income family, and so my grandparents, lived on Social Security alone, just like, a lot of the folks that I talked to on the telephone, how they're having trouble making ends meet or dealing with problems, and they don't have enough money to hire a lawyer. And it was stuff that I could really identify with. I mean, it really resonated with me, with my grandparents going through the same type of thing. So
it's sad, really, and you figure that. I mean, how long ago was that you first started getting in?
2001. So was it? So we're looking at 17 years ago?
Yeah. And so you figure at some point the scams would stop, or there'd be, because as soon as people are getting into it, they're more aware, but it's not the case.
First of all, it's the same scams from 17 years ago. They're just about the same today. The names changed, and it's on the internet versus by telephone. People today, as they're getting older, there's this research that shows that people have this false sense of security about their own abilities to make financial decisions and things like that, and especially men, older men, and so they're more apt to feel like that they're making a wise decision to take care of a family problem, or they're having money issues at home. The other side, they become embarrassed by it. When they do have a problem or when they do recognize the issue, and they don't tell family members by it. So it's just a cycle that folks go through. And once you become a victim or victimized one time by a scam, it's almost like your name goes on the special list because you get calls constantly from other potential scammers after that. The other factor I think that comes a lot into it is social isolation. A lot of these people are lonely, and for somebody to talk to them. I had a client one time who I knew it was a scam she was doing, but she's like, well, he's so kind to me, he's so nice, he listens to what I have to say. I'm just going to listen to, I'm going to call him and talk to him again and tell him what you said. I knew she was going to, giving the guy money, but she was just lonely. Being alone by themselves all day and not talking to anyone, it makes them more susceptible to being victimized like that.
And do you find that there's a pride factor in some of this stuff? Absolutely. Where they're like a little embarrassed?
Absolutely, yeah. Older men tend to be victimized more often, in a lot of cases, but they're embarrassed to tell folks about it. The other part of embarrassment is, when they get into financial trouble with credit cards or something like that, they're afraid to tell their children about it or to tell that they're having problems. Most of the folks in their 80s today grew up in a generation where you paid your bills. They lived through the Depression, and so they were going to take care of their responsibilities, and to not do that is an embarrassing thing for a lot of folks.
Is there a new kind of scam that you've seen?
One that really that I'm surprised by the most is the one where someone calls and it says, they're your granddaughter, or that they're in jail, they got put in jail and they need you to send money right away. I was talking to someone not too long ago who talked about the person actually went on their Facebook page and gathered information about who the grandchild was, even a nickname that they used with each other, they found on the Facebook page. And so when they called them on the phone, they used that name and stuff, and so it made it easier for, it made it difficult for the person to tell that it wasn't their grandchild. Fortunately, a very well-educated person, was victimized by it because they wanted to just help the grandchild.
Wow. Wow, that's heartbreaking. How do you feel success in what you're doing?
That's tough. A lot of times people contact us at our offices when they're in a desperate situation. They've already made the decision. They've already, made a bad choice, or they've already given someone money, or they've already signed a contract they shouldn't have signed. And so our success really comes more from helping people understand what's next. How do they move forward from that? The biggest fear for a lot of folks when it comes to legal issues is the unknown of, what's going to happen. And creditors know how to scare people. We're going to come and put you in jail if you don't pay your bills and those kinds of things. And so it's just helping people understand that there's things out there to protect them, and everybody makes mistakes, So I think the most satisfaction that we get from our work is just someone saying thank you. And it's a special kind of thank you that they say, because it's like this big relief thank you that they, when they tell you by phone or that type of thing, or they send you a little handwritten note or something like that. So, and that's why all of our staff, I think come to work every day is for those. And you don't get those every single day. It's tough, but knowing that that's what, that you're making a difference to somebody that without us, they would have probably ended up in even more dire straits and potentially, committed suicide or done something unwise like that. So, it's, we just have to take what we could get some days.
We're going to talk about transition here a little bit. It seems like you've taken your second career and developed a third career, in which you came in as a lawyer to elder law,
right,
and now you're the executive director. Mm-hmm. You don't really practice law. How was that transition for you?
It was a natural transition because I came from a business background and worked in a business environment. So, I was able to take the learning that I had from years in private sector and bring it into the organization. And I came to elder law back when there was only 3 employees. And so we were really small and just getting started, or they've been around for a while, but just starting to grow. And I enjoyed doing the variety of things. I mean, if I had done traditional law, I wouldn't get to do videos, and I wouldn't get to go out and make public presentations to seniors and things like that. The flip side to that is I also have to clean the bathroom at the office on some occasions, if that's what it comes down to. But you do what you got to do, but it's been a natural transition, and I think that it's a good fit for me most days. There's some days I question it, but I enjoy I've been doing this for a good number of years now. It allowed me to grow and do things that I enjoy doing, and take the organization in an area that I feel is needed. And so I feel like I have a bigger impact on seniors that way.
Do you feel that because you have a law background, it helps your staff?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it makes it easier to understand some of the challenges that we have working with our clients. That maybe if I didn't have the law background, I may have struggle with understanding some of the concepts that we have to deal with when it comes to dealing with family members and things like that. But I think it makes it easier for me to see the bigger picture of what's going on with this person's life. And because I actually did practice law with the clients for a while, I can understand the problems that they're dealing with and can come at it from a different angle sometimes. I tend to try to focus on practical solutions sometimes rather than legal solutions. So staff will come and we'll try to put our brainstorm and see if we can come up with something that maybe they didn't know about. But I at least have a background in enough to know what's out there for as possible solutions for folks. And to know who to call if I don't know the answer, I always can find someone. I think me being a lawyer gives me more credibility. I think sometimes with lawyers, whether we want to admit it or not. I mean, and one lawyer to another lawyer has a different conversation sometimes than a non-lawyer, going to that lawyer and trying to seek redress or something like that. So.
Do you miss practicing law?
Yeah. I tried for a while to like do one day a week kind of thing, and it just got so hard with my schedule that it was always I'll push that off, and I do miss it. Yeah, I miss the interaction with the clients. So that's always been my best source of ideas for grants, and the best way for us to plan things is sometimes for me to get in there and do it for a while. I miss not being able to do that, but I recognize that my time and talent is better spent on these bigger picture things, so that so I can hire more people to do those types of stuff, and they can focus on it and really get good at it rather than me trying to stumble along on it when I sit in there. So.
Well, you just mentioned grants. Talk a little bit about that process. What is your process? Because that's a whole new thing. To be an executive director of a nonprofit, that's where a lot of your funding sources come from. So talk about what your approach is and how you get those done.
It's all about coming up with identifying the need first, and then finding the grant to match it. I mean, there'll be grant opportunities out there, but if I haven't already seen somebody in my office say, if we could do this for our clients, it would be great, or we really need to look at doing this type of thing. It's finding the need that matches this out there, that's really there, and rather than trying to build a proposal around the request itself. So for me, that's the process. And unfortunately, and my staff who will probably confirm this, I tend to be very last minute about a lot of things. So I'm struggling at the end, and I've had a couple situations where I didn't get it in on time, and we were penalized for it. But for me, the process is laying it all out there and really getting it organized. And today, you can't have a grant if you don't have a collaborative. You got to get partnerships with other folks to do it, and I think that's what we tend to do best, is find those partnerships and put people together and work in the communities and to train folks and give them more capacity to do their work. We tend to try to find those opportunities out where we can, and the non-traditional ones, if we can find them. Those are the ones that funders really are interested in hearing more about. So, and that's what we want to do, is try to get their attention.
And going into that writing, you actually taught writing at one point.
Yep.
At Cooley, the school that schooled you.
Right.
Talk about that process. How was teaching writing? What did you do, and how did you approach the teaching process of writing?
Well, in legal writing, I taught for about 10 years. There are two types of writing. There's technical writing, and then there's persuasive writing, when you write to the court. I had to really break it down. I mean, I'm a better writer today because I was a teacher, because I had to break it down so that, and find ways to explain it differently. And so I was always improving the way, I did my own writing. And that transitions back to grant writing, because grant writing is nothing but persuasive writing. It's supported by evidence, and so it's just like writing a brief for the court almost. You got to have your support to back it up, and it's got to be organized and clear and easy to understand. And if I could lay it out that way so that the reader reads it one time and they get it, then I've accomplished a lot and gone a lot further along than a lot of folks. It's got to be easy to read and organized, and that doesn't always match up with grant writing. But I think my philosophy is to try to make it match so that the reader who's reading it gets it the first time and understands what I'm trying to get, because then I'm more likely to get funded. I'm
going to touch a little bit on your marketing background.
Okay.
And I remember sitting in a meeting with you, and you said something I actually use all the time now. Mm-hmm. And you said, we are not, because we were talking about the videos that we were doing, and you said, these videos are not about getting clients. We don't need clients. We need these videos to help people understand. Well, I'm going to let you finish that. What was your impetus of using the videos for?
We felt like that we needed to find a better way to tell our stories for funding purposes and for support purposes. A well-produced video goes a long way in improving the way someone thinks about our organization. If they see that, we use videos to recruit volunteers and to tell our stories at our fundraising events and things like that. So we never intended for these videos to be, a way to recruit clients for our services. Now, byproduct of that, hopefully, if somebody sees the video and says, oh, my mother could use that service, well, let me give them the number. If you look at our videos, very rarely do we talk about, if you need help with this, give us a call. It's all about what we've been able to accomplish with support from our funders, so that we can, generate more funding and generate more support for it and an understanding of the problems of seniors.
That's great. And to wrap it up, since we're talking about videos, what are you watching, or what have you been interested in the visual medium for you? Entertainment-wise or whatever.
It's whatever's on TV, and pretty much, I just turn the channel on and just listen to it all day. I mean, I used to be a CNN junkie, but I get so upset by politics that I, have to turn away from that. But lately, I've been watching like NCIS Los Angeles or something. They have the marathon on one of the channels there that comes on. So just something simple like that that just takes just noise in the background. A lot of times is what it tends to be. So.
What did you used to get into? Was there anything that you used to?
I used to be very, very involved in all the shows like Castle and Scandal and and all the different ones like that. All the cop shows and Blue Bloods and stuff like that. I still watch that every Friday night. But all those that have some intrigue to them and have a storyline to it. So
and a law aspect.
And a law aspect. I know, surprising to that. So, yeah, you'd be surprised how often you say, they can't do that. That's not right. That's not right. That's not allowed. So, but, you know. And so
maybe you could become a television advisor for your fourth career.
There we go. Plenty of time. So,
thanks, Keith.
Thanks a lot.
Really appreciate it.
All right.